Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this afternoon's 2020 Pacesetter Recognition and Community Impact Update Celebration. I'm Chris Martin, President and CEO of United Way. Thanks for joining us today. During today's program, we really want to accomplish three things. First, we want to make sure you get an update on the 2020 campaign and recognize the efforts of our outstanding Pacesetter companies and all the work that they've done so far. I know we all look forward to hearing their results. We also want to share a little bit of information about how United Way's community impact work supports the children, students, individuals, and families right here in our community. And then lastly, we'll also share with you some testimonials about how you're helping to change people's lives every day. Just a quick note as we get started, please feel free to share your campaign photos, messages on social media during this meeting by using hashtag UWSA celebrates and hashtag United for Change. Also, we welcome your interactions and comments throughout the session on the Zoom by using the Zoom chat feature. Now I'd like to welcome United Way Board Chair Kim Lubell, who will share with us how your generosity has helped so many more San Antonians during the COVID-19 pandemic this year. Kim, thank you for your leadership and welcome to the program.
Well, thank you, Chris. And I don't know about you, but this is my first time to visit with, I think, we're now over 217 folks and without actually seeing any of you. So just another first in a year of firsts. There's no doubt COVID-19 has challenged all of us. It's pushed our boundaries, it's pushed our resources, and it's really pushed our collective capacity for giving and caring. But each of you is a testament to the compassionate and resilient community in which we live. Thanks to the contributions from donors and volunteers and incredible partnerships like yours, United Way has been able to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic both nimbly and decisively, creating new approaches to address the new and urgent needs of our community. United Way believes in helping everyone, as you know, especially the most vulnerable, as we navigate the COVID-19 pandemic together. Here are just a few of the ways that our United Way has been involved over the past several months as we've battled the pandemic. Working together with the San Antonio Area Foundation, United Way established the COVID-19 Community Response Fund and awarded over $6.3 million to over 150 local nonprofits, $6.3 million in the middle of the pandemic. The fund provided San Antonians the opportunity to give with the assurance that their donations would be responsibly invested to quickly deploy resources where they were most needed across the community. United Way also invested $400,000 to provide 3 weeks of emergency childcare assistance for parents and guardians who had to leave home to go to work and were struggling to figure out how to provide childcare for their children, including young babies, preschoolers, and school-age youth 12 years old and younger whose schools were closed because of the pandemic. United Way's Women United group invested in this vital program. United Way partnered with Get Shift Done. I don't suggest you say that 3 times fast, especially in a Zoom call, but United Way, partnering with Get Shift Done, invested $800,000 in an initiative that provided wages to hourly food service workers that were faced with unemployment in the wake of the pandemic, who in turn then served volunteer shifts at local nonprofit organizations, preparing, serving, and delivering food to the area's children, elderly, individuals, and families in need. In just a little bit, you're going to hear from Nicole Castillo, who was one of those Get Shift Done participants. In addition, United Way launched the website, saunitedforgood.org, to gather volunteer opportunities, stories, and data from nonprofits, helping the community assess the impact of the coronavirus pandemic while providing a robust online repository to help charities impacted by COVID-19 connect with volunteers. United Way also created a community-wide thankathon to collect and distribute over 1,000 notes, photos, and videos of gratitude and encouragement for essential and frontline workers. And as you might imagine, throughout the pandemic, our 211 helpline call specialists have been extremely busy, recently finding themselves fielding almost 1,000 calls a day. 211 and Mission United serve military and civilian callers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So many across the community need our help, and even more so as a result of the pandemic. And United Way has been there to help. United Way is working very hard to respond, recover, reimagine, and really help rebuild our community as a result of the devastation of COVID-19 and also the social inequalities that continue to persist across our community. Racial and social inequities have created underlying barriers for individual success, not only across the country, but right here in our backyard. United Way remains committed to strategies that advance our most burdened neighbors and support efforts that strengthen our community for future generations. With the input and support of community volunteers and leaders and experts, we have really focused our efforts to create lasting change across San Antonio and Bexar County. Here's what we're doing to help today. United Way is increasing the economic stability of individuals and families through continued education and workforce training. We're focusing on reducing disparities by race and gender, specifically women of color. We're focusing on the development of our youth, making sure that they're proficient in math and reading. We're also supporting our disconnected youth, which are generally teens and young adults that are not in school or employed. And we're helping reconnect them to school, to work, and to mental resources. In San Antonio, about 75% of our disconnected youth are Black or Hispanic. We are increasing the resources for at-risk mothers of all ages, including prenatal care and quality early childhood learning experiences. And we're providing necessary resources and support for individuals and families when life circumstances or natural disasters occur. But change does not happen overnight. United Way is committed to our community, our neighbors, and our partners to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. So thank you for being with us today, and thank you for your leadership in our community, and above all, thank you for your generosity. As I mentioned earlier that we hear a testimonial, the pandemic tripled unemployment for San Antonio's hardworking residents, tripled unemployment, many of whom were thrust into new and frightening circumstances without employment. Nicole Castillo is one of them. She loved her job, but when the neighborhood business that employed her closed during the pandemic, she lost her income. So it's now my privilege to introduce a video featuring Nicole, a participant in the Get Shift Done initiative, to tell us about her experience.
Hi, my name's Nicole Castillo. I am the mother of two loving boys, Aiden and Ephraim, and I have a very loving husband, Casey. Well, COVID started for us in March. I worked at a little country bar in the outskirts of San Antonio, and unfortunately our bar was shut down due to COVID. So that put me out of work for about 2 months. I was finally able to go back in May, but that only lasted for about 2 weeks. Unfortunately, my husband and I both contracted COVID ourselves, which put us out of work for 3 weeks. I was finally released to go back to work after those 3 weeks, and come to my surprise, we were shut down once again. Even though my husband and I had fully recovered, he was able to go back. But with only having one income coming into the house, that kind of put us in a little bit of a predicament. And it made us really start to worry, about how we were going to survive with this. And I happened to be scrolling through Facebook that day, and I came across something called Get Shift Done. And it was this app where you just make a profile and you pick up shifts throughout the week and you get paid that same day. At first I was skeptical, but I decided to give it a try. Why not? And next thing you know, I had 3 shifts that week. My first shift was in urban farms harvesting watermelons, and I worked at San Juan Mission. And then I started working at the food bank itself. And after about 2 weeks, I was offered 40 hours a week doing trafficking control, intake registration for the families that were in need for food. So at that moment, it gave me a lot of relief knowing that I was going to be able to pay my bills, for that time being while I had my shifts at the food bank. And, United Way and Get Shift Done really came in need for all of those families and people that were out of work during this time for COVID. And I don't have a fancy house, I don't have a fancy car, my bank account's not where I want it to be, but I do have a lot of relief now thanks to United Way and Get Shift Done. I owe them a big thank you, and I'm sure everybody else that was a part of the program does too. Thank you so much, United Way, for being there for us.
Thank you, Nicole, for sharing your story with us, and thank you for working to help others. And we really appreciate your strong work ethic and positive attitude. It was just great to hear your story. Next, I'd like to introduce my friend and our 2020 campaign chair. We are so lucky to have Brad Barron, President and CEO of NuStar Energy, leading the way. Brad has been passionate, engaged, and committed to sharing the United Way message. And during this year of unprecedented need, he has been an outstanding advocate and leader for United Way. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brad. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. As Kim said, I'm Brad Barron, and it's my privilege to serve as this year's community campaign chair. So one of the things I've learned over the years about life in general, United Way in particular, is that things only get better when people from all walks of our community unite to understand the challenges we face and the opportunities that lie within those challenges. I'm honored today to be in the company, even if it's only virtually, of so many caring and generous individuals. You represent small businesses, corporations, schools, universities, churches, and public and civic organizations. Thank you for being part of this virtual meeting this year. So even though I'm campaign chair, I have a whole cadre of people helping make this year's campaign a success. So let me take a minute and thank and recognize some of them. First, the campaign cabinet. If you don't know, the campaign cabinet is a core group of outstanding leaders who care deeply about San Antonio and about our people. The cabinet has worked tirelessly in every area to make sure that every organization in the city is contacted and is running a campaign. We have folks who are targeting banks, healthcare, legal, accounting, school districts and teachers, higher education, auto dealers, nonprofits, labor unions, and several other sectors. While all the cabinet is pulled together to ensure a successful campaign, I want to single out 3 women who have really been instrumental in this year's campaign. Barbara Gentry and Suzanne Wade did phenomenal work in laying the foundation for the campaign, and I want to thank them both. Also, Mary Rose Brown has labored tirelessly in the background, so I want to recognize and thank her as well. I also want to acknowledge this year's outstanding group of loaned executives who have been loaned, I use the word loaned in air quotes, to United Way to help you with your campaigns. Actually, it's not air quotes, it's for real. They've been loaned to United Way. If you don't know, these are folks, they leave their ordinary work at local companies for about 3 months, and they become part of the frontline staff of the United Way. This year, they put on their masks, they showed up, adapted to a virtual campaign environment, and are getting the job done, and done well. Special thanks as well to the firms and organizations that support the Loaned Executive Program by allowing these people to come and serve that role at United Way. So thank you to our employee campaign managers, the ECMs. We couldn't be prouder of your commitment, flexibility, and professionalism. It's much needed in this year. Your positive attitudes during this time of uncertainty, greatly appreciated. Let me also give kudos to our leadership donors, and especially our Tocqueville donors. When Chris Martin arrived in San Antonio, he came with the idea to reinvigorate the Alexis de Tocqueville Society. That's people who give $10,000 a year or more. And I'm happy to say they've done just that. They have reinvigorated the Alexis de Tocqueville Society. The USAA Foundation last year provided a generous match, and I'm happy to say that this year they continued that match, and that my firm NuStar also contributed to boost our Tocqueville Society members. I think there's 87 new members this year, and it's still growing. That means the entire $1 million match will be spoken for. So thank you to John Zachary and his team. Thank you, John Zachary, for leading that for the last 2 years. And I also want to thank Jim and Suzanne Gooch for their commitment to the Tocqueville Society. I also want to introduce 2 United Way volunteer leaders who are instrumental in moving our community forward. You've already heard from United Way campaign chairman of the board, Kim Lubell. Kim is a former campaign chair herself, and she's always been and continues to be tireless in her support of United Way. So thank you, Kim. I also want to recognize David Boney. David is president and CEO of Broadway Bank and will serve as the 2021 campaign chair. So thank you, David, for committing to lead our community in this effort next year. So let's talk a little bit about this year's campaign. Some of you have heard me speak about United Way this year. What you've heard me say is that we faced several challenges in this year's campaign. First is donor fatigue that comes from COVID. San Antonio stepped up big in the spring when COVID first appeared to support the food bank and other safety net programs. We proved once again that we are one of the most generous and caring cities in America. But that overwhelming generosity comes with a certain amount of fatigue that we have to overcome during this year's campaign. Second is the fact that it's hard to run a traditional campaign. United Way is a high touch endeavor. At NuStar, we take all of our employees on an agency tour to show them where their money goes when they contribute to United Way. We follow that the next day with a big gathering in our cafeteria where we stand shoulder to shoulder and we talk about the importance of United Way. And then we continue to mingle and gather over a drink. We can't do that this year. So I want to send a special thanks to the ECMs and the LEs who have had to work double time to overcome that. Also, they've had to work double time to overcome the fact that many of the special events, the golf tournaments, the barbecues, the dinners that traditionally support United Way, they just can't happen this year. And lastly, the San Antonio community has experienced a lot of job losses through layoffs and furloughs. About 1/3 of our top 25 campaigns have had some sort of workforce reduction. So those are big obstacles to overcome. But on the other side of that balance sheet, there's been overwhelming support. That's despite the pandemic's efforts. And despite is the key word here. Despite these obstacles, people came forward to help the growing population on the edge, people who never thought they would need food or help with a rent or a utility bill or childcare because schools were closed. So no matter the circumstances, no matter the crisis, United Way is here to help, changing, adapting, taking on our community's toughest challenges. You heard Kim talk about what United Way has accomplished these last few years. And I don't have to tell all of you what United Way does because you're all on this call. You already get it. I'll mention a couple of things though. So your gifts work to prepare children for school and life. They also help students graduate and succeed. And you help support strong individuals and families. And finally, you provide safety net services like emergency food, clothing, shelter, and disaster care. For 8 decades, United Way has worked closely with corporate and nonprofit partners to make a difference. So thank you for all you've done. We've seen a lot over those years. Perhaps 2020 will go down in the books for propelling unsuspecting people into uncharted territory, that of needing to ask for help. So shifting gears a minute, I want to take a minute and talk about the work of our incredible nonprofit partners. In addition to the companies and organizations that conduct Pacesetter campaigns, our United Way nonprofit partners also set the pace by conducting campaigns. They are heroes. You make that superheroes who've been challenged beyond belief this year, but they always land on their feet. So let's shine a light on the goodness, kindness, and effectiveness they exhibit while serving others. General Kevin Bergner, President and CEO of Goodwill San Antonio and United Way Agency Campaign Chair, was not able to join us today, but we thank him for his leadership, and I'm happy to share highlights from the 2020 Agency Employees Campaign. So I'm going to give his report. So now you have to imagine me speaking like a general for just a few minutes, okay? All right, so our United Way, this is General Bergner. I really can't do that, but anyway, our United Way nonprofit partners reach out with talented and compassionate staff to provide strength, care, and understanding to others, acting as healers and protectors to those who are vulnerable. It's magnified even more during the COVID pandemic. Staff at the partner agencies are on the front lines too, helping clients, listening to clients, strengthening clients, and caring deeply about them. Every day, agencies are faced with issues like drug abuse, domestic violence, child abuse. They deal with truancy, a lack of physical and mental health care, might be the loss of a job or house or parent, life-altering occurrences like this year's pandemic. These partners are an integral part of the citywide campaign, supporting campaigns, and much of it virtual this year, and as leaders of their own United Way campaigns. I'm pleased to report that the employees of our United Way nonprofit partners have raised over $500,000 to date. That total will continue to grow as their campaigns are completed in the coming weeks. As a matter of fact, I know that because yesterday that number was $400,000. So thank you to all the United Way nonprofit partners. And that's me speaking, not General Bergner. So thank you to all the agency representatives for your financial contributions. So here now is a video that will show you the highlights of their generosity. thank you to all the generous nonprofit partners who carried a heavy load this year and done an admirable job. The campaign this year will provide funding not only for the vulnerable populations identified by our Impact Council work, but also for the growing numbers who need a safety net to survive. Earlier, you heard Nicole Castillo speak about how Get Shift Done affected her life. And there are thousands of success stories like hers because of United Way's work. So listen now to Christina Mora and how she found hope and self-sufficiency through United Way programs and your donations.
I grew up with two parents incarcerated at the most crucial time in my life. I was 13, didn't have my mother or father. It was hard, to say the least, but I got through it. I went on, I didn't make it all the way through high school, but I went back to school to get my GED. When I got that, I enrolled into a community college. Unfortunately, I didn't finish with that either because my kids had some health issues. There was a lady handing out these flyers. She said, "Would you like to go back to school?" And I said, "Well, yeah, what do you got?" So she gives me the flyer and I read on there that there's a program for pharmacy technician. There's a possibility that if I meet the criteria that I could go back to school. And I met the criteria and the rest is history. I just hit the ground running. One of the things I experienced was the genuine support that Good Careers Academy has for their students. I know for myself, my instructor was very thorough with us. She made sure that we knew everything, all the material front to back. And I'm glad for people like, United Way, Good Careers Academy, Dual Generation, all of them pairing up to help people like me who we know we have the potential, we know we can do it, we just need help. You think of chains, right, that have you kind of bound, but you're able to break those, and knowledge is power. We want to uplift the community. We want to get out of that poverty mentality. And I did that with the help of Good Careers Academy. And all the people that partner with them are living proof that they're donating in the right direction. That money's going to the community. It's going to help people. I'm very grateful.
Thank you, Christina. To support our community impact work and making a difference in the life of Christina and others like her, our city is blessed with many outstanding companies, organizations, and agencies who are also outstanding corporate citizens. Each year, we ask a group of select companies and organizations to conduct Pacesetter campaigns to get our community campaign off to a great start. And that's what this event is about. It's to recognize all of you who are Pacesetters. While so many of you have stepped forward this year, I also want to acknowledge there are a few individuals in our community who are true philanthropic leaders, and they have made significant individual gifts. And they include Carlos Alvarez, Bill Greehey, Graham Weston, Charles Butt, the Mays Family Foundation, and Harvey Najum. So thank you for your incredible support during this year of unprecedented need. You just saw some of the highlights from the agency campaign. So now let's see how our Pacesetter firms and organizations have done. Let's start the video. Wow, what amazing, outstanding results. So join me in virtual, I don't know how we do this, virtual applause as we congratulate the Pacesetter companies, nonprofit agencies represented here today for their generosity. So if we were all together at this point, there would be confetti and cheering and all kinds of things. So just imagine that is going on. It is amazing to see all the increases in the campaigns and the participation across the city. And it's amazing to think about what we can accomplish when we come together. So there's still one number missing, which is our grand total. It's what we've collectively raised thus far during this year's campaign. So let's go ahead and see that number now. So I don't know if you could hear that, but what I said is, as you can see, this year's combined Pacesetter giving total is $32,717,530, which is unbelievable in a challenging year like this. So congratulations and thank you for your continued support in this year, a year like no other. So we're off to a great start. As I've said all year, we've always been united for good. Now we're united for change. And I cannot thank all of you more for making this happen such a difficult year. So thank you and have a great day. Chris?
Thanks, Brad. What impressive results we've achieved so far. And thank you so much to you for your incredible leadership during these challenging times. We certainly would not be in the position that we are in for on behalf of this community without your leadership and your support. So thanks for what you do each and every day. And thank you to our Pacesetters and to each of you for what you've accomplished, where you've gotten us to this point. It's a great start. We have our work cut out for us. There's no doubt about it. And lastly, thanks to each of you that joined us today to help for what you do every day to help change lives right here in our community. One quick note, if you're a Pacesetter, the United Way staff will be mailing out your Pacesetter certificates. You should receive those shortly. We appreciate you and hope you'll display it proudly. And lastly, thanks everyone again for joining us. Thank you for helping our community live united every day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.